Well, fellas, Wargaming has yet again caused me to push back what was supposed to be yesterday's video, but then was going to be today's video. However, now it's going to be tomorrow's video unless Wargaming releases yet another devblog before we get that far. But anyway, yes, we do have a new devblog going over some new ships, the highlights of which are a couple of new Pan-European battleships and a Pan-Asian battleship, on top of a couple of other interesting ships that are getting thrown in with this devblog as well. But anyway, if you do wish to read along as I read aloud or check out this devblog after we go through it here on the channel, make sure you check out the description for a link to the devblog. But let's go ahead and get on into it. However, before we get there, make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz helps out on the YouTube side of things. So now, let's go ahead and get into it. So, the devblog says, new ships closed test 13.9. It's hard to believe, but update 13.9 is already approaching, which means it's time to share details about upcoming ships that will be added for testing. Time flies, doesn't it? The first one on the devblog is European Battleship Niord, Tier 9. A fast battleship similar to the layout of German battlecruiser designs of the First World War, particularly the GK4541 design. Niord is the result of a hypothetical alternate history scenario where the ship is laid down in Germany by 1918, purchased by Sweden in the 1920s, and gradually completed by the end of the 1930s, with subsequent modernizations of anti-aircraft defenses following the Second World War. The ship was named after the ancient Norse god of seafaring, winds, and fishing, inheriting the name from a coastal defense ship that served in the Swedish Navy in the early decades of the 20th century. As the third European battleship to be added to the game, Niord follows in the footsteps of Karl XIV Johann, but also differs in some key aspects. Her main battery is rather light for a Tier 9 battleship, consisting of 4 twin 380mm guns. Looks like those are Bismarck turrets and guns. However, good accuracy and reload time will still give her a respectable punch. Unlike Karl XIV Johann, her secondary armament is rather underwhelming, with only 3 twin 120mm turrets per side. In return, she has torpedoes with characteristics similar to those found on Holland, fired out of 2 quad launchers per side and with the signature tight European spread. A strong AA battery will additionally ensure that enemy aircraft suffer substantial losses when targeting Niord. As for other favorable attributes, high top speed and good concealment will round her out, while the small salvo weight of her main battery and a small hit pool will serve as drawbacks. In battle, Niord will favor mid to long range engagements, utilizing her speed and concealment to take favorable positions and dishing out decent damage using her accurate main battery. Employ her torpedoes against enemies who stray too close and use a super narrow spread to punish those who remain stationary. Be sure to keep hostile vessels at arm's reach. Niord will suffer when taking focus fire due to her small hit point total. So, again, looks like the German battle cruiser, but Swedish. So she's main battery focused, but small guns, small accurate guns with a good reload, according to the description there. And again, more on the torpedo side of things, the European torpedoes. So let's see exactly what she's got going on for main battery guns. So again, 8 15-inch guns with a 21.4 kilometer range. AP shell damage, 11,600 is the maximum. 820 meters a second is the initial velocity. She has 1.9 sigma and 274 meters maximum dispersion. So, what's the reload though? 24-second reload. Okay, so like if you take the reload module, I mean, that's a 22-second reload. That's not bad. Then, of course, you add an adrenaline rush on top of that. But her hit points, though, only 63,000 hit points. That is not a lot at Tier 9. She does have 32mm plating, though, so she doesn't have the battlecruiser armor that we see with the German battlecruisers. So she's got 32 at least. She's got that going for her. Torpedo tubes 4x5, so 20 533mm torps, 10,700 maximum damage, 15-kilometer range, 86 knot top speed. Again, very pan-Euro. 140 seconds reload time. Alright, so she gets damage con, 15 seconds, 80-second cooldown time. Repair party, 28-second runtime, and you get 319.5 HP per second. Again, reload time is 80 seconds. 4 charges of that base. So Niord is looking, I don't know, because the Bismarck guns, you know, when they hit, they do hit hard. But of course, the challenge with the Bismarck is getting them to hit. But now that we have a ship that has 1.9 Sigma with them and a 24-second base reload time, maybe they'll work. Especially if, like, they give the turrets 360-degree rotation in the back, and you can keep your bow pointing toward the enemy, because, you know, the German battle cruisers, the fourth turret, usually can 360 when we get to the higher tiers. So, you know, there is some potential here to be a pretty mean battleship. You can probably play her like a battle cruiser, again, with the 15-inch guns, with the good speed and maneuverability and the torpedoes. So I do see some potential here. I'm disappointed they aren't continuing kind of the same formula that the Karl XIV has going for it, because that's a pretty fun ship to play in my opinion, but who knows, it could be pretty solid when it does come out. So moving on down now to our next ship in the DevBlog, we have the European destroyer Kalmar Tier 5. One of the Visby class destroyers, she was commissioned in 1944 and remained in active service in the Swedish Navy until 1978. With a hull similar to Visby, one might expect artillery power from Kalmar, similar to her tech tree sister. However, Kalmar's strength lies in her torpedo armament, which consists of very fast, long-range torps and 2 triple launchers, with access to the signature super narrow European spread. High speed, good concealment, and a repair party consumable will complement her playstyle. But typical of torpedo destroyers of her tier, Kalmar's main battery is quite weak, with only 3 single 120mm guns and slow traversing turrets. Additionally, a small hit pool and the lack of a smoke generator consumable will hamper her survivability, while low torpedo alpha will keep her damage output in check. When at the helm, captains can utilize Kalmar's high top speed to reach unexpected angles from which to launch torpedo attacks, with the speed and range of her torpedoes ensuring reliable hits. Using Kalmar's concealment to keep enemy destroyers at bay, if spotted and engaged, your repair party can recover some damage, but sustained fights with enemy gunboats will have a disastrous ending due to the poor performance of the main battery. So it's a Visby, but torpedo focused, and it does get a heal. It's very, very unusual for any destroyers below like tier 9 to even have a heal. So the fact that they're giving a tier 5 destroyer a heal is pretty interesting. You know, I mean, like, I guess, you know, if you want a Visby but more torpedo focused, go for it. But I mean, yeah, tier 5 ship. Wouldn't be surprised if this is like an event ship or battle pass ship, or maybe it might be the next to midpoint dockyard ship, because typically these lower tier premiums, unless it's like a historical ship, they don't really, well, I mean, it is a historical ship, right, because it was commissioned, you know, but one of the bigger name historical ships is usually what we do see at a lower tier nowadays. But I mean, hey, who knows what they have in store for it? Could be an interesting event or something like that. But yeah, my money's betting that this is an event ship or something. And we got a little bit of an interesting one up here. We got a little bit of a Kitakami Jr. coming up here with our next entry in this DevBlog, which is the Japanese cruiser Yari, Tier 10. Yeah, it looks like a Zal because it is a Zal, but you'll see. So it says, a heavy cruiser design representing a hypothetical version of the Type A cruiser, the construction of which was planned in the early 1940s in accordance with the 5th and 6th Naval Armament Supplement programs. The ship was named after one of the famous Japanese mountains, Yari-ga-take, which lies on the border of Nagano and Gifu prefectures. A theoretical sister ship to the Zal, Yari mixes things up. Her main battery consists of only 3 triple 203mm turrets, without the signature improved dispersion of the tech tree heavy cruisers. In return, Yari's torpedo armament is heavily reinforced, with 3 quad launchers per side launching torpedoes with high damage, long range, good stealth, and high speed. Additionally, her torpedo spread options are unique. She will launch her torpedoes in a new super narrow spread, even tighter than the option commonly found on European ships. But this does not have access to any other options. So like you only have that one super tight spread. In terms of consumables, Yari has the standard damage con, a choice between hydroacoustic search and DFAA, and the same repair party found on Zal, but lacks access to the submarine surveillance and spotting aircraft. Oh my god, I just murdered that half of that sentence. Lacks access to the submarine surveillance and spotting aircraft. There you go. Other characteristics are similar to those found on Zhao, with great concealment but a small hit point pool for a tier 10 cruiser. In battle, success with Yari will depend primarily on her captain's skill and predictive abilities when aiming torpedoes. Her super narrow spread will ensure that enemy ships are obliterated with proper aim, but any miscalculation may result in your launches being wildly off target. Keep an eye out for stationary enemies utilizing island cover. If you can acquire a launch angle, Yari's torpedoes will be sure to send them to the bottom. Open water fights with enemy battleships and cruisers should be avoided. If necessary, utilize your concealment to fight from a position of advantage and break detection when focused. So, we seem to be a little torpedo heavy so far in this DevBlog, fellas. So yeah, I mean, basically Kitakami Jr., because you get how many torpedo tubes? 6x4. My god, that is a lot of torpedoes. 24 torps every how long? 120 second space. That's before like you build into it or anything. So that's a lot. And these torpedoes, their maximum damage is 17,533. They have a 13.5 kilometer range, 69 knot top speed, again before you build into it. And they're detected from 1.2 kilometers. So, oof, that's pretty scary. And I'm assuming it has the same concealment as the Zhao. Yeah, 12.2. So you can get this bad boy down to 9.9 kilometer concealment, fellas, with these torpedoes. That is scary. Because, man, if you play the Zhao, you know how stealthy it is. That's, you know, one of the great things about it. Like I was talking about in, what was it, the video 2 days ago. So that is pretty scary. But obviously, again, with the radar and CVs and submarines being a thing, you know, that does limit its sneakiness quite a bit. And, of course, it is the Zhao hull, so once you do see it, you can kind of murder it. And again, her main battery guns are nowhere near as great as the Zhao because they don't get the improved Japanese dispersion, so you kind of don't want to use them. So again, it seems to be, you know, again, very torpedo heavy. Very torpedo heavy in this ship here and in this whole DevBlog. So, yeah, you know, not really my playstyle there with the Yari, but I guess you torpedo boat lovers, or those of you that missed the Kitakami and don't want to grind out the Jinan. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Alright, a couple of more new ships, but unfortunately we do not have any images for the following two ships. So next one is the European battleship Lugdunum, Tier 7. The Lugdunum is a modified version of the Leon that's designed for commanders who revel in the thrive of close quarters combat and secondary focused playstyles. There we go, that's more my speed. She features a slightly more accurate and longer range main battery compared to the Leon. This is the French battleship, by the way. That Leon, there's like 3 of them in game, right? Which is coupled with a notably faster reload rate. While her AP and HE performances are not as formidable, her big salvo size ensures that she can still make her mark in battle. What makes Lugdunum especially deadly in close quarters combat is her secondary battery, with an extended range, improved accuracy akin to the Schlieffen line, woo, and a significant increase in DPM. She's ready to rain relentless fire on enemy ships. Another one of Lugdunum's standout features is her great concealment. That's great. This encourages sneaky approaches and optimal positioning to maximize the effectiveness of her secondaries while minimizing detection by enemy ships. Her tight turning radius and decent maneuverability enhance her ability to dodge incoming fire and position herself advantageously in battles. Coupled with a fast cooldown repair party, the Lugdunum is well equipped to handle the challenges of intense combat scenarios. The Lugdunum boasts a hard-to-hit citadel, making her a resilient opponent in the heat of battle. However, her relatively small HP pool and slower turret traversal requires careful positioning and tactical play to mitigate her vulnerabilities. The model for the ship is still being worked on, but we will be sure to showcase it at a later publication. So, Leon, with secondary build, improved heal? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That sounds pretty good. A lot of the French battleships are kind of like right there to being really good secondary battleships, but their secondaries tend to not survive that well. We'll see with the Lugdunum, maybe they give them a little bit of base buff to their survivability, but that is a ship that I can very much get behind, and I cannot wait to get my hands on. Tier 7, you still have a lot of close quarters engagements that do happen, so it's kind of like the better place to go almost for secondary battles. So the base secondary range is 6.3 kilometers. So once you build into it, of course, you can't take all those secondary modules, but you can get that out to like, what's that, 8-9 kilometers? It's really good for a tier 7. So here's one to the Lugdunum. Our last new battleship for this devblog is the Pan-Asian battleship Teng, Tier 7. The Teng is inspired by Sinop, but also has qualities which make her distinctive. Armed with large caliber turrets that inherit Sinop's devastating Soviet ballistics, that's scary, Teng delivers powerful salvos. However, unlike Sinop's focus on close-range engagements, she benefits from accuracy settings comparable to that of the US, UK, and German battleships, allowing her to engage effectively at any range, so she has normal dispersion. That's what the thing is. To further enhance her versatility, the Teng is equipped with a high-precision spotter consumable, extending her effective engagement range and making her a formidable opponent in long-range duels. While she retains some of Sinop's robust armor and substantial HP pool, this ship does not have access to the Soviet fast damage con team, relying instead on normal damage con. This design choice means that while she can absorb substantial damage, you'll want to be a bit cautious when managing her HP. The Teng playstyle reflects her new role as a more flexible battleship. With enhanced accuracy and extended range, she can adapt to various combat scenarios, making her effective at engaging enemies from up close and afar. However, her slow turret traversal, vulnerable to broadside, slower reload, and unimpressive AA suite are notable weaknesses. As is the case with the Lugdunum, the Teng model is also being worked on. Alright, so let's see, what's her longer reload time now? Because Sinop already had a pretty... Yeah, 31.5 seconds. That's not exactly miserable for a Tier 7 battleship with 9 16-inch guns that get to keep their Soviet ballistics. So, more of a mid to long range Sinop here. Not something that I'm overly excited about. Oh, and we have a we have a sneak peek as a treat at the finished Tennessee model. So there that is, fellas. All right, so most of these ships I'm not overly excited for. I'm interested to see what they do with the Niord with their main battery guns. You know, Bismarck guns that can actually hit stuff might be, you know, pretty appealing if that does survive all the way through testing. Kalmar, not that interested in. Yari, not that interested in. Again, not really that big of a torp boat guy. But the Lugdunum, I am very interested in that. You know, finally a brawling Leon. That'll be pretty cool. Again, Teng more medium to long range stuff. Not all that interested in it. So, you know, the ships are interesting, but I'm not that excited for them besides the Lugdunum. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Which of these ships are you excited for? Which of these are you not so overjoyed at entering into our game? I know there's a lot of torpedo spam in this devblog, so I'm sure many of you will not appreciate that. So there is that. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful Friday. I will be live streaming here tonight on the channel and on Twitch, so make sure you come out for that around 3:30, 4 p.m.-ish U.S. Central Time. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday, wonderful weekend, wonderful Labor Day weekend for my fellows over here in the United States. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.